All right, hello everybody. I'm so excited for part three, reacting to this conversation. I did think about something in this break, and I really can't wait for people to say some really stupid nonsense like just because you're autistic doesn't mean that you're an asshole like he is. Actually, it's people who they don't know anyone autistic. They ain't autistic. They try to be virtue signaling up in here. I cannot wait for you. I hope there's like 1,000 of you up in my comment section when I wake up tomorrow after I post this. I genuinely do. I'm gonna be so excited to demonstrate how stupid you people are. See, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. And the reason why is because people are virtue signaling and they try to talk about they know autism. I'm married to it. I did diagnose it actually. I told her that she should get referred. She told our psychiatrist, my fiance, and our psychiatrist referred her, and then she actually got evaluated with autism. And her APN nurse practitioner mom was like, no, "There's no way she has autism." No, I guess who was right, guys? Guess who was right? It was actually me. She did, and you know what? And this is the important part: is it improved her life? That's the important part. I wouldn't be making this video if there wasn't room for improvement. And I definitely see room for improvement.
I don't know if it works on the internet.
It's not a virtue signaling thing for me. It's not about me. It's about pirate software. It's about people with autism and what they have to go through. That's what matters. I don't really care what happens to me. Whatever. I'm seeing what is happening to him, and I see it's not right.
That's a very different thing, right?
No, absolutely. Right. So in the real world, when someone gets mad at you, like I want y'all to think about if people behaved in the real world the way they do on the internet, shit would be crazy.
That's actually already started happening.
Sounds fun.
So like this has spilled over into people interacting with me that way in real life.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean that's like even if someone does something,
that's not fun because you're not built for that. No one else built for that. Okay, that's not fun. That's not good.
Know what Thor did to hurt y'all, but I don't think he did very much objectively. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like so that's where like even when I say that, the way that I attach a statement to it, maybe I'm missing something, right? But my understanding of the situation is that you were kind of an ass about something involving a WoW raid, and
no, I'll be a real ass. Y'all are actually bullying an autistic person because you just don't like autistic people and you don't like autistic traits. And all the virtue signalers talking about some actually having autism doesn't make you this way. That's just because you're ignorant. Yeah, that's because you don't know and you don't care, right? You just want to bully somebody. I get it.
And my guess is that you were kind of an ass with the way that you responded to it because you're really good at being an ass. Like in a way.
I'm doing it very deliberately. He's doing it like the way he's doing it is like in a way where you can't even fake it, honestly.
That I really appreciate, but you're an ass. So it's what makes
smug.
And honestly, he's really not an ass. He's really not. And I don't really want him to think of himself that way because it's really just not, it's just negative. Right? It's that internalized like hatred. And I just don't know why we're doing him that dirty.
That's the same. Yes.
Yeah. So like what I love, I've sent you a couple of DMs because like I'll see your shorts or whatever, and I'll be like, this is fucking amazing. That assholery that you exhibit where you have these kind of base takes is like what makes you amazing. And when that energy, when that kind of emotion.
But they're really not that base because he's not even aware of how base they are. Right? I know exactly what I'm saying and how people are feeling about it.
Energy comes out where you did something wrong. And then I think what happens is the way that you frame your response is it's not that bad. I didn't really do too much. Everyone made mistakes. Like it's like you'll say.
Well, and that's the thing. Why I just did. It's like, yeah, I know you're about to be mad. I am looking forward to it, actually. I want you to be bad. Yeah. That makes it not on the same level.
You make a mistake, but that's not what comes across. Right? So if you and I have a fight, right?
So I feel like I'm being direct and other people feel like I'm being evasive.
100%.
Okay.
So I want you to think about this for a second.
but you're not being evasive. You're just simply not able to talk about whatever it is. Like you just don't see it. You know, it's not the same thing. Like you really don't understand why talking about how you worked at Blizzard for 7 years might be taken poorly when you're just talking about game development in general. Yeah.
I've always had problems with that.
I can tell.
Communication failure.
I can tell 100%.
See, that's the thing. I couldn't have this conversation with anyone else because it was just polarized and obnoxious every time I tried to have that conversation. And yeah, no, I get that.
So,
I've had issues with that my entire life.
Even as a kid, right? Well before you could have developed narcissism, you've had issues with this because it predates that, doesn't it? Right? Even as like 5 or 6 years old, this was probably happening, right?
Because it's hard for me to be like.
Another thing, I can make predictions, and I already know those predictions are going to be right. Because of my view that I don't think Dr. K could make, or if he made predictions here, like with, and not because it's Dr. K versus me, but because he's just working with this idea that I think is just incomplete. You know, that this idea that, like, you know, before you could really even have these like ego issues, big ego issues, like as a smaller child, you're probably still having this problem. This has been a problem literally your whole life.
If I say something, I go, "Hey, here's the thing," and they go, "Oh, he's hiding something." And I'm like, "But how else can I say this?"
Yes.
And that's yeah.
So I think that's huge.
Yeah. What else am I supposed to say? I don't understand what was wrong. Why is that? Yeah.
Huge. So now I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you believe you are being direct and other people believe you are being evasive,
yeah,
what kind of model would you develop for like shit happens on day 1 and what are things going to look like on day 100? It's just going to get worse, right? Because the more that you're pouring liquid on the fire, you think it's.
And it's victim blaming to me, like this language, in my view, because it's just not really him doing this. Right? Like, again, it's our responsibility to treat people who are autistic well. It's not their responsibility to do something that they literally just cannot do. And like meet our expectations of how people should behave. And our expectations on what you should be able to perceive. If you just don't perceive things like that, that should be the end of the conversation for you. And then it's up to us to meet you where you're at.
It's water. They think it's oil, and things are just.
That's why I tried. That's why I tried all those different like things along the way of like, hey, we'll talk about this. We'll do this kind of a thing.
He tries a lot of different approaches, huh? Yeah, total narcissist, guys. Sure.
You know, try to communicate this in some other way, and I feel like I ran out of options. Jesus.
Yeah.
I feel like I ran out of options. I try like so many different things, and I feel like I'm out of options. What does it sound like?
Yeah. So I really do, and
because you know what he's not saying. He's not saying, well, the way I do it is just good. Like he understands there is a problem. Narcissists don't have this conversation even. Okay, like this is just not a narcissist conversation. He's autistic, and
maybe it's like me giving you the benefit of the doubt.
You know, if you feel bad because you're scared that he is, and what that implies for you, don't come out here saying some weak ass shit like, "Oh, you just don't know autism," or you know, autism doesn't make people into assholes. Just hold that L. Honestly, get over yourself. Think about him. Think about someone besides yourselves.
This will trigger people as well. I think you've done the best that you know how to do. I think you've done a really good job in managing this really shitty situation.
I feel like it.
High key, I want you to say some stupid shit.
I don't know if that's true, right? Like I don't know.
So I think what's true is, I think most human beings do the best that they know how to do. And oftentimes we don't judge people based on what they're capable of. We judge people based on what they do. So when someone is hurtful to me, like I'll give you, I know it's kind of a weird abstract.
Yeah.
So when I'm in the emergency room, someone's high on crystal meth and calling me an ass fucker or whatever. Sorry, maybe that's too much.
That's fine.
I've heard it.
That's medicine.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So when they say things like that, like the objective impact of those words is like, that's what they're doing, right? That's hurtful. And at the same time, the most peaceful and harmonious way to go through life is to do our best to like understand where this person is coming from, right?
And then, you know what? This is the reason why different strokes move the world. Okay. Different people for different things. Okay. You know who you should send in that situation? You should send Lance. You should totally send me. I'm the guy you want when there's a guy completely out of his mind on crack or meth or something calling me an ass fucker. Have him have a knife and everything. Oh yeah, this sounds like a fun night. Okay, as long as I don't perish along the way, you know. But yeah, that sounds exciting to me. So, you know, I'm okay fighting. So other people don't have to. So people who would really be miserable in a situation, you don't have to deal with that, right? Because I'm crazy, I'll just go deal with it. Yeah, it works. Just, you know, respect the consequences of that. Respect that that does mean that I'm confrontational. You know,
This person is crashing
and that's I think what we're really failing to understand as a society. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too with people. If you're gonna go send people out to fight for you, don't be surprised when they come back home and they are bored and confrontational with people. You know, put some respect on them for going out fighting for you.
off of crystal meth. Their dopamine transmission was 10,000 times normal 2 hours ago, and now they're completely dopamine depleted. The more that we can do that, objectively, what they did was unacceptable. And also, like, if we treat people that way, like, it doesn't work well. It just doesn't work well. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's just. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's like, it's not harmonious. And I think what's been going on with you is first of all, people are not doing.
I gotta go back. I have to rehear this. Did he say what I think he said?
When I'm in the emergency room, someone's high on crystal meth and calling me an ass fucker or whatever. Sorry, maybe that was too much.
It's fine.
I've heard it.
That's medicine.
Okay.
You know.
So right. So when they say things like that, like the objective impact of those words is like that's what they're doing, right? That's hurtful. And at the same time, the most peaceful and harmonious way to go through life is to do our best to like understand where this person is coming from, right? This person is crashing off of crystal meth. Their dopamine transmission was 10,000 times normal 2 hours ago, and now they're completely dopamine depleted. The more that we can do that, objectively, what they did was unacceptable. And also, like, if we treat people that way, like, it doesn't work well. It just doesn't work well. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's just.
No. Wonderful. I agree. And I do think Dr. K's doing his best. And I just think he's mistaken. And I think if he himself actually like watch these videos, I actually think he would agree with me. I actually think he would just end up agreeing with me.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's like, it's not harmonious. And I think what's been going on with you is first of all, people are not doing that for you. They're doing the opposite, right? People are not saying, hey, this guy is like, so for all the accusations. So like, I remember seeing something on LSF about people accused you of cheating in Outer Wilds or something. Like this was one of the things. I don't know if that's true or not true. People seem to think that they have very convincing evidence of that. I don't really get into it. I still need to play the game. Please, no spoilers. And my point is that in those moments, even if they're objectively correct, I think the right thing that we need to do as humanity and the internet is cut people as much slack as we can. And
also, I mean, that's a good point. Like, I don't know all these dramas. It's possible that he has actually tried to cheat at some point or try to play something off, you know, that he didn't want people to see. And because he's autistic, he doesn't understand how to lie. He's just a bad liar. And so that, you know, people just catch him out really easily. That's possible, right? I'm not accusing him of that because I don't see any examples of that, but I also haven't looked, you know.
And this is where a lot of people will say, oh, we cut him slack. No, you guys don't cut him slack. Like, we don't. Let's be honest. On the internet, when you feel judgmental towards someone, the most knee-jerk reaction is to not cut them any slack, but to dogpile them. That's what happens. There's this very primitive human psychology thing of like, when one bully.
It's going to be so funny. I know at some point in my life it's going to happen to me, and it's going to be so funny.
Is beating someone else up, we're going to get our kicks in, especially if it helps us feel.
Y'all better bring so many people. You gotta have so many people.
Good. Now, the problem, Thor, is that I think you are guilty of exactly the same thing. We all are. It's a human deficit.
Sure.
Okay? But you're guilty of it too, because I think what you say, hey, I was just smug, that's not how it felt to other people.
I think that was me dumbing it down to a flashpoint moment, not the full story.
Absolutely. So, and that's where you're screwing up, because you will dumb down your flaws to one word, but you will extrapolate and hypothesize other people's flaws to the nth degree.
I don't think that is a fair assessment.
Okay.
Personally. Yeah, and I don't feel that that's a fair assessment because I don't feel like I do that to people. When I'm talking about, hey, these are all the things that came after this, that's because that has gone on. Like the moment was like a day. the attacks for that have been 100 days.
Okay.
So there's so much more content to talk about in terms of how
Okay.
much negativity there has been.
I rescind my statement.
Yeah.
So I accept that there is, okay, so here's how I would modify it. So I think you're right. I take that back,
I'm
and
not
I
trying to fight
apologize.
for it, yeah.
No, and I think the perception from my end is still the same.
Okay.
Right. So we heard a long story from you. Even if it's congruent with reality, one word of what you did wrong, smug, and then 99 words of what other people did wrong. Even if it's correct, I'll agree that it's correct. My point is that when a human being shows up and says, I did one tiny thing wrong and everyone else did 99 things wrong, the reception that they're going to receive is not going to be pleasant.
The thing is I don't know if that's always the case.
It's not always the case.
Because what I found more often than not is I'm trying to give context of like, here's all the stuff that happened from my perspective. This is the response the person has from it. They, at this point, it's because it's so exhausting. It's like, take it or leave it. It's like, here we go. Have the thing.
You're right. You're 100% right that it is. So I think the big difference is who the person is.
Yeah, I can see that.
If you were a human being who was physically assaulted on the street, you could say, here's the one thing I did wrong. Here are the 99 things they did wrong, and everyone would be on your side.
That's confusing to me, though. Like, what is that? Because you didn't really read the tweet, you just kind of skimmed it, right? How do you know? Because you haven't looked at the situation. Yeah, how do you really know that it's actually not that clear cut? Obviously, the magnitude is not the same, but
you, however,
I don't know how you can even
some combination of luck or the way that you
I don't know how you can even make these statements.
Interact with people, which you kind of said like you struggled with this. So
and also, yeah, like he doesn't look. Why do people not go look? The interpretation of running away is just so literal. Like he's booking it all the way to town, like immediately, which is not an incorrect interpretation of this call it run away. But it's just not the interpretation most other people have, right? And
see that this is like, it's like a difficulty with mentalizing is what we call it.
I don't know what mentalizing means.
Mentalizing is the ability to understand other people's thought processes and internal experience.
Yes,
now,
he has.
I know this.
How does he not understand that he has autism? He might actually feel really foolish when he realizes that he's had autism the whole time.
Confusing to you because you are really good at cognitive calculation of those things. But there's a
yes. How does he not get it?
Big difference between understanding their internal experience and calculating their internal experience.
Wait, how does he not understand?
Okay. You're really good at calculating, right? Which is, I think, what you've managed to do. You use that, and you're not alone, by the way. A lot of people have this. I have this, where we have a lot. We calculate our way.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
To understanding other human beings instead of like understanding their subjective experience.
No,
it's cognitive empathy versus emotional empathy.
No, Dr. K. No, you don't have this. No, he doesn't see it.
I think he's both sides of that.
Dr. K is going to agree with me 100%. He's gonna agree with me, right? Remember, before you start commenting on these videos, just remember he'll actually end up agreeing with me.
You do 100%.
Yeah, and like, no, because I think for other scenarios, I feel like I have done that.
Yep.
Of like, hey, I can understand. Hey, this person is doing something.
Yeah, he's like not even capable of like the emotional. It's all cognitive, right?
Logical, but
and that's autism. Oh, that's autism, right? He has to like really use his intelligence to carry him there.
Because from their perspective, it makes the most sense. Like you explain the person who's like high on meth, right? And they're having a freak out.
And it often does.
What they're doing doesn't make sense for everyone else around, but from their perspective, maybe they feel like they're getting attacked. Maybe they feel like all this kind of stuff is going on, right? So I understand that side of that completely. But with this scenario, like I said, it was exhausting at this point. That's fallen away. The layers of I guess giving a shit about empathizing with attack people that are coming in is just gone.
I completely agree. And so what I'm sort of this is more of like a long-term thing where like, and I think this is also where like if any of y'all are in this situation, right? This idea of like I keep on doing what I think is the right thing and it keeps on messing things up. And I think you had a brilliant way to like, well, for me it clicked. I think I'm being direct. Other people think I'm being evasive. So yes. I think for people, if y'all find yourself in a situation where you're like, I'm doing everything right. And by the way, this is like in the line of a narcissistic offense, right? So a narcissistic offense is one where you think you're objectively correct and people around you are like wrong. So that is like,
I don't think I'm objectively correct. I'm just giving my.
And I mean, you don't come off that way. And you don't understand why you come off that way sometimes. And that's just.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying this is in line with a narcissistic defense. So I'm talking about the general principle, not about you.
I mean,
so,
yeah.
And this is just what happens. So this is what all human beings do. When we feel attacked, we tend to. The narrative that we portray is shaped in a certain way that like we don't really control. Like, so if I'm talking to a narcissist, I think, so let me just take a step back because I got to do a better job of this. So the first thing is that the narcissistic defense mechanism is something that all human beings employ.
I need this elaborated for me.
In yoga, it is called the ahamkara or the ego. So like we all, in order to function in life, it is very difficult for us to look at ourselves objectively. Now, what makes it harder to look at ourselves objectively is how much people attack us. So the more people attack us, the more our emotional and mental reaction is to defend. In the same way that if I was standing next to you and I tried to punch you, if I made a fist and I...
You know what's interesting? If people attacked me over this video, I just wouldn't care because I'd be bored. If people are attacking me because of a failure to misunderstand the situation, I would be motivated because then it's like, I can stand up for my boy here, right? I can stand up for autistic people. Well, that's more interesting. That's something that might actually be helpful. But if people are just attacking me personally, like they're making fun of my voice or whatever, that would just be really boring. I just wouldn't do anything about it. It just wouldn't even like, yeah. Like the attacks that I've talked about being excited to hear, and like when you see me get really excited, like I hope I run this fate with people. It's like, you know, when I get to argue and it can help somebody, I guess. But if it's just to defend how people think about me, that's just boring. I don't really care. I don't know.
Tried to punch you in your abs.
That is interesting.
Your belly would harden. You can't even control it. You would have no choice but to harden your abdominal muscles as I tried to punch you in the stomach. In the same way,
have some, but yes.
In the same way, when we are attacked by someone, and this is true of all streamers because we get attacked a lot, our narcissistic defense must compensate. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
I'm saying must.
I'm not calling you a raging narcissist. Please, no one take that away. Okay?
Oh, they will.
I know they will, and that's why I'm going to call attention to it. But this is something that if they're
didn't help
calling attention to it, they're missing the point. If anyone is listening to this conversation and still thinking this is about how Thor is a bad guy, y'all are fucking missing the point of this conversation. What you are going through, Thor, is something that every human being on the planet will go through.
That's not true, Dr. K. Fuck out of here, Harvard psychiatrist. No. Oh my god. I'm groaning right now. It's like so annoying. No, every human being doesn't go through this right now. He doesn't see it. He's gonna feel so silly when he realizes how wrong he was.
Through in some form. Every human being on the planet will do something where they make a mistake, and a lot of other people, and y'all, like, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, chat. Have you ever been in a situation where a lot of people made mistakes, including you, and then you owned up to your part, but people dogpiled on you anyway? And when they dogpile on you anyway, you did something stupid. You behaved like Thor did, and you defended yourself. And you said, hey, objectively, here's what I think happened, here's my perspective. And the more you tried to defend yourself, the more angry people got with you.
Okay, you know what? Everybody, humble me so that I may prove him wrong. And demonstrate that I will not do this. As simple as that.
I would be stunned if this has not happened to every person in chat at some point in their lives.
Now, it has happened to me at some point in my life. I'm saying it wouldn't happen in the future. I'm willing to
And so what we're
prove
talking
wrong.
about now is this cycle. This idea that, okay, I'm objective, other people are subjective. Because I absolutely think you have that bias, by the way. We all do. But like, I think it's very prevalent in the way that you talk. The really tricky thing there is, and I have to acknowledge this, is it's not clear whether that is actually what's in your head or that is just the way it comes across. Because
it's just how it comes across.
Absolutely comes across that way.
Yes, and he just doesn't understand that.
So when I said you owned up to this one thing, and then you talked about all this other bad stuff that happened to you, and you're like, objectively, I disagree. I did this one thing, and I literally have 50,000 people. And I was like,
there's so many questions that could have been asked. When you see your whole life, though, like when exactly? Like how back can we go? Go as far back as you can, right? Because BPD doesn't develop in a 5-year-old.
Okay, you know what? You're right.
All right.
But even though you're right,
And PD
what
didn't come
people are
out.
going to hear, their
5-year-old.
limbic circuits of the brain are going to hear, yeah, I was smug and all this shit happened to me and it's not my fault. That's what people are going to hear. And when people hear that,
Dude, that's weird for me, legitimately.
yep, I know.
Because like, from my perspective, I'm like, hey,
Honestly, Dr. K has not done very much listening. I actually feel like he should be asking way more questions. Because yeah, this guy is super weird. He's just weird, and but there have been previous conversations, so maybe there's some of that I'm just missing. But I do feel like he's strange enough that you should just ask a lot of questions when you talk to someone like this, because there's a lot of like, there's a lot of things that could be going on, right? And I think Dr. K is giving advice too soon.
you know, I screwed this up. This is how this went down. Here's my perspective on it.
Yep.
And then the response is, you didn't take any accountability. You're a piece of shit. Why won't you just say it? And I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense to me in response.
Yeah.
Like
so,
for me, that's such a disconnect between those two conversations.
And this is not about right or wrong, fair or unfair, just or unjust, true or not true. Now what we're talking about, like, so we're a channel that talks about the mind. So you're saying, I said this, someone says you don't take any fucking accountability. And you're like, that is a disconnect with me. I completely agree. That is the one thing that I think we can all agree on, is that whether they like you, dislike you, whether they like you, whatever, the one thing we can all agree on is that there is a disconnect. Other people think that you're disconnected. You think it's not even about you, but or other blame. There's absolutely a disconnect between the kind of response that you're getting and what you're doing. There is a disconnect for other people between what you did and what you're owning up to. That's my point. So like when I started this conversation, the key thing is that there's a circle that's empty. That's the only way this can be explained. And the question is, what's in the circle?
Nothing.
And what I found, if y'all find yourself in a situation like Thor, I find the hardest thing is oftentimes the best thing to try to do, which is to try to understand when someone says, I don't take accountability, or they accuse me, they say, you don't take accountability, to do your best to try to understand that. And I think you've done that, because it sounded like for the first 30 days, you engaged with people in conversation.
Yes.
And when you engage,
and I found that the reactions started to get more and more, I could use the word unhinged, but it really just comes down to more and more unbending of, I just want to make an attack. I just want to go in the chat and make an attack. I just want to go on your YouTube and make an attack. It wasn't in good faith to have, like, I want to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, because they got fed up. Because they're looking to do something that Dr. K, like, similar to what Dr. K is doing, and getting you to understand and, like, fixing you and making you normal, maybe. But then, like, they realized that wasn't going to happen because it's not possible to cure autism. Definitely not in conversation. I mean, it's not possible with current technology anyway. Also, just the presupposition that you need to be corrected or fixed or cured in the first place is ignorant, in my view.
It was, I just want to be here to throw a punch and then leave.
So I think that there's two things that I hear there. One is, once again, this pattern of the more I do something right, the more wrong someone appears to be. Right? So I tried to listen to them. They became more unhinged. They became more unbending. So that can absolutely be the case. But do you see how this is another scenario where you behaved correctly and someone else behaved incorrectly?
I feel like that is an incorrect response, because the first thing that'll be brought up is they always say, well, you didn't accept any blame. And I go, here's in this post.
No. What did you hear me say?
Maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah. So I'm just pointing, your statement was, I tried to listen to people and they became more unhinged.
Yeah.
So I want you to code,
people that are still...
which is what happened. I understand exactly why it happened. Yeah. What's your explanation, Dr. K?
No, don't worry about the people. Hold on.
Okay.
Code that sentence. Look at the grammar of that sentence.
Because it's objective.
I did something right and they did something wrong.
I am actually gonna fucking hurt somebody.
That's the way.
Not really. That's just an expression. It is not real in any way.
That's what I hear when you say those words. And this could be where your disconnect is.
Man, he's like really forcing his idea on this conversation. You need to actually speak less and listen more. Mr. Harvard psychiatrist. I cannot believe I am an actual person sitting here. You know, if you think it's weird to hear me say it, I will tell you it's really weird being me experiencing it. That's actually much stranger. That's actually much stranger to me. Trust me. It's weird for me too. It's weird for me too.
I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I'm just saying, here's another statement that you made. I tried to talk to people. They're crazy.
I think there's an objective reality there, though. When someone comes in and says, you didn't take any accountability for this, and I go, here in this post, I said I did this wrong. Here on this video, I said I did this wrong. And they go,
yeah, look at these instances where I did take accountability, though. Like, how do you explain this?
Oh, that never happened. Like,
okay.
Because what they need to do to you, right, or with you, not to you. So something's being done to Pirate Software in this conversation, and people need to start thinking of a conversation with this man as like doing something with him and not doing something to him. Okay. You need to do something like explain the Blizzard thing, like what I tried to do. Where you explain why that comes off the way it comes off, like in a very logical way, because guess what? Jason can do logical. He can understand it cerebrally. Like if you explain it very logically, he can get it. But that's how you have to do it. And what you do is you take a statement where you feel like he's deflecting blame and you explain why it comes off that way. And you have to do this for every single one, every single time. He's not going to start seeing it if you just keep explaining like in individual instances, because you're giving a man a fish, you're not teaching him how to fish. And the whole point of autism, the reason why it's considered a disability, is because you can't fish in this analogy. Okay, you can't see it. Right? It's not a problem with you. It's just something you shouldn't be expected to do.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Very good. Now we're getting
nothing.
Somewhere. Okay, so I know it's crazy. I know it's crazy. Okay, so bear with me, Thor. Try.
You don't have to do anything.
Focus. Ignore chat. Okay, so here's the problem.
It's so funny. I'm flipped. Everybody probably listens to this and they're so frustrated at him. And it's flipped. I have not gotten frustrated with him a single time in this conversation. I have actually found what he said to be amusing, and I've only gotten frustrated. Okay.
That's what's so wrong. That's what's so hard about this. So when you engage with people for the first 30 days, I think there's let's think about it, okay? There's a selection bias. Who's going to come talk to you? The raving people.
I think it was the initial wave, and then it calmed down to people that were kind of willing to talk, and now it's just the raving.
Whatever. Yeah. So like
yes,
when you open yourself to conversation on the internet.
Yeah, because they couldn't cure autism through conversation. So when they thought they couldn't get through you, they just left. Yeah.
Let's be honest. The likelihood that you get a balanced person who really is willing to take a step back and admit their flaws and understand how they're wrong and is not projecting something on you is low.
That's not what the intention of me talking about it was. When I was,
I understand.
The way that I feel about that a lot of the times, you're not going to get through to the person who's angry on the internet.
Okay.
You generally won't.
You definitely won't.
Well, they're not going to sit down and have a valid conversation.
I actually, you know what's so funny? I actually have a surprisingly high success rate of doing this. But you definitely won't.
They're not interested in resolving that. Most of the time, the person doesn't care, I find.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, if you don't say anything, I feel that on the internet today, if you do not say a thing in defense of yourself at all, everyone believes the only voice in the room, which is the one that's negative.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's exactly what happened.
So
I put a video
sucks.
about all this kind of stuff,
yes.
Released that, and immediately everyone was like,
this is why I was so motivated to make this video, even though I don't want to be here now.
Oh shit, maybe this is too
far.
I
just feel like it's
and I got a whole bunch of people actually sending me positive posts for the first time since all that happened.
Cool.
So the stance that I've taken on all this is I go, here's what I saw from my perspective. This is what's been going on to me. And then there's kind of a camp of people that say, fuck you, I hate you. And then there's a camp of people that go, that seems reasonable. And I've just kind of hung out with people that think that it's reasonable because I don't know if there's another solution to that scenario.
Yeah, so I think that there is another solution to that scenario. And so that's what I'm trying to point out to you is there's a certain way in which you communicate, which I don't think is wrong, but gets consistently perceived, like we mentioned earlier, direct into evasive. So when we, you just, and I don't know if this makes sense, but I want you to I don't know how to say this, but you're a programmer, so maybe this will make sense. I'm trying to put in language that I don't understand that I hope you will, because I don't know what I'm talking about. Code your statements.
I'm literally trying to imagine how it's possible that a psychiatrist does not see autism here. I actually am shocked that he did not see this.
I tried to talk to people. I presented proof. They became unhinged. So if we code that statement, I did something right, they reacted wrong. What I hear frequently...
And when you want to rule it out? Right, I mean, I would definitely recommend you be evaluated for autism way sooner than that. As a layman, right? I don't understand how a psychiatrist is not thinking we got to rule out autism. At any point in this 3-hour conversation?
The way that you communicate is that structure. Now, what makes this so confusing is that I'm not saying that that statement is factually incorrect. And if anyone who has dealt with other human beings knows this, you can tell another human being something that is factually correct, and they cannot give a damn and double down. In fact, that is usually what happens. So what I'm sort of getting is this is the disconnect. I do wonder whether you are blind to. There's a certain kind of accountability that people are looking from you that you're not giving them. That doesn't mean.
What is it?
Yeah. Oh my God. The instant question, right? What is he doing? He's actually trying to understand. He did just ask a question. What is it? I mean, he actually wants to know so badly, right? That's not a narcissist. A narcissist knows, and they're ducking it. They can't think about it. A narcissist can't evade something that they are not aware of. They do know it. They duck it. That was so fast. That was lightning fast. He's genuine. He's like, please tell me, guys. Please, someone come along and tell me what is happening.
This is what I'm digging into. So one is maybe it's in the way you're giving it. So it's not that I'm not saying you need to take more accountability. Okay. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But my point is that when I see this pattern, and it could be just like, it's like a perceptual thing, because the way that you're talking is making people more upset, which doesn't mean that you're wrong. It's just like the way that I'm communicating is ineffective at resolving this issue. So a simple thing, and I'm not saying that you should do this, but I'm curious about this, is I've noticed that you tend to be incomplete. I've noticed that you tend to be complete with your answers.
You know, it'd be so funny. Is if like Jason knew he was autistic and he just didn't understand how it played into it. That would be like the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. I would actually die laughing.
So when I look
Like
at
he's like been diagnosed privately and he's just never like talked publicly about it because he just likes to keep it private. And then like he just doesn't understand how it like applies. That would just be so funny to me.
X thread, right? You try really hard and you do a great job. You're like, here's what happened, here's what happened, here's what happened, here's what happened, here's what happened. Have you ever tried
Like literally just been sitting on the answer the whole time?
to be incomplete with the smugness? Just talk about the smugness.
If I try to be incomplete with it,
Incomplete with the whole story and just focus on the smugness.
what does that mean?
Let me
Like not give any context whatsoever?
You can't talk through this. I don't know even.
Yeah,
I have to.
let's say yes to that. I think that's a bit of hyperbole, but
Just an emotional
Repetitive.
response?
no, just say, hey guys. So basically, when you tell the narrative, you start with like, I made a mistake, everyone made mistakes,
It's
I
a
was
high
smart.
view part of the video.
and then there's a lot
Yeah.
that comes after that. How would you feel about just ending it after that first paragraph?
I hate that.
Okay.
I have like an immediate emotionally angry response against that
Very good.
because it feels like idiocracy.
Okay.
Oh, I
It feels like that's too long, didn't read. I don't need all those.
When you tell the narrative, you start with like, I made a mistake, everyone made mistakes, I was smug. And then there's a lot
Yeah.
that comes after that. How would you feel about just ending it after that first paragraph?
I hate that.
Okay.
I have like an immediate emotionally angry response against that
Very good.
because it
self-expression is a very common value in autistic people. So it would turn out.
feels like idiocracy.
Okay.
It feels like that's too long, didn't read. I don't need all those words when few words do gooder. That I hate
Yeah, like how, because at that point we're just telling you not to express yourself.
that shit. Like I super hate that kind of communication of like there's a lot of people who say like, oh, you should just say my bad, guys. No, that does not in any way explain a situation. That doesn't tell you any information that is real. It is hand waving for the masses in a way that is disingenuous to what happened.
True. And you know what's so funny? They just want to be governed by people like me, and they want to be ruled by people like me who can do it so easily as they breathe. And they just want to be controlled like sheep. I guess so. I mean, is that what you'd prefer? Right? You come up with these games that for certain people are so easy to play. And is that how you want the world to be? Really though? Think about it, guys.
And disingenuous to the people that are involved. I feel like to do that would be just me lying for the sake of lying so that people would fuck off. I really
And you can't do that, but others can.
hate that.
And the alternative is, reward honesty, right? You reward people for trying to express themselves, not to like reward people who can like play these weird games with each other the best. That's just not helpful in my opinion. It's just really not good.
That absolutely feels like idiocracy to me. 100%.
It's to me, it makes sense though that he would see it that way. To me, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like 1984 or Brave New World. That's actually what comes to my mind. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. To him, he thinks idiocracy. I'm thinking Brave New World. I'm thinking 1984. That's the world you're creating. You just want Big Brother because they'll be blatant and lie to you and just tell you what you want to hear. Yeah.
I don't like doing hand waving gestures for the sake of hand waving gestures. I don't like that at all. And I don't know if that's a wrong thing to feel, but that feels fucked up to me.
No, I think
I
it's
could do
great.
that. I could go on the internet and just be like, "Oh yeah, my bad, guys," but like that's not real. It doesn't make sense.
I think that's great. So I think what I liked about that response. So my hope. So we're not here to like rehab your PR, right? We're just here to have a conversation.
I am here to rehab your PR.
And at the same time, over the last 2 hours, there's something about the way that I hear you talk that rubs me the wrong way.
Fuck off. How's that? How does that sound? Actually, fuck off with your Harvard psychiatry bullshit. Honestly, that rubbed me the wrong way. How dare you fuck up this hard and say that to him? How dare you?
There's something about the way that you talk that seems dismissive. So
how dare you fucking say that shit? He's being dismissive. You put him in this box for 2 goddamn hours, and you're calling him dismissive? Oh,
I'll
man.
tell you where that.
No, I agree with that.
Right. So it's like I made a mistake. We all made mistakes.
Okay.
Right. So there's something about your sentence construction. It's like, oh yeah, Thor, I'm sorry I cheated on you, bro. I really do love you. You know, we both have flaws in this marriage.
Dr. K, I can't stay mad at you, right? But you know, dude, surely you can understand my perspective if I was right. You know, if I had. Imagine this man gets evaluated and he's actually autistic. Surely you understand. Why I'd be upset, right? The love of my life, really like one of the few people I really love spending time with. I could be spending time with right now. Is autistic, and then I like relate these traits to this guy. I see a lot of her in him, and that's actually how I knew he was autistic. And I hear you say that shit. You can understand why I'm upset, right?
Like, do you see what that? We're not married, but you see?
I am married to this guy. Okay, I actually am. I actually can say that. Yeah.
What I mean?
Now that you've cheated on me.
Yeah. So there's something, and I don't think, and this is what's so tricky is like I don't think you're wrong. Like I don't, and what we got
the way
from
that I
you,
feel about it,
yeah,
is that I don't even know if the word. It doesn't feel like a lie. It feels like
appeasement.
It feels like appeasement for the sake of appeasement.
Yeah.
It feels like they're asking for something that they know is not real, and I'd be giving them something that we both know is not real for the sake of giving something that's not real, so that they stop being mad about something that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yes,
so I think
they just don't understand why you don't do that because your mind works differently.
So, and I think the key thing there is I was trying to figure out what won me over when you said that, and I'd be super curious if like how chat reacts to that as well. I'm not looking. I don't think you should, but because
I turned it off. I'm glad I turned it off. I would not ever get through this video if I didn't get rid of the chat.
I think that's what people are missing from you is like when you, and this is what I think makes you great, is when you actually, you're better.
I wonder if I looked at the chat though, I bet there would be 1 or 2 people would be like, maybe he's autistic? And that would be like, oh my God. I bet there probably has been at least one person who said that.
Best content is not when you're logical. Your best content is when you're emotional. And the logic supports it. Like there's logic there, but you're like, look, I'm not willing to do that. Could I do that? Absolutely. I just don't think that's right. Yeah. I think that this is like a stupid fucking appeasement world. I'm not going to be like all of the other streamers who post bullshit apology videos for the sake of appeasement and virtue signaling. I think that I kind of fucked up. I'm not done. This is a fucking hardcore WoW. People die in hardcore WoW.
He's interrupting him.
Like, I think you've been accused of making fun of another mage or something like that, too. Like, I saw some post about that.
I'm probably she interrupts me all the time.
I don't know if that's true or not true, but look.
Honestly, he's actually super good about interrupting people, though, for how autistic he is.
Twitch.
We can talk about that if you want. That was my bad. But.
Yeah, and like, but like, that's fine, right? Like, I mean, I play Dota, like, not as much as I would like to anymore, and I got to play Expedition 33. But when I play an online video game, especially an MMORPG, where tensions are high, I'm going to blame my teammates.
Huh.
I do it all the time, right? And
right.
if I say something like that, it feels dismissive.
You know what's funny? Like, I guess for me, I feel like there's a threshold that has to be met for me to start blaming other people. Because like you have to fuck up a certain like grade, like a certain amount, to where it's like very clear to everybody you're fucking up. But if you've made like one or two small mistakes, I actually find it incredibly easy to forgive others for making mistakes because I find it pretty easy to forgive myself. So I just kind of judge everyone by that standard, and then yeah, other people making mistakes, like as long as it's not like beating, inting, throwing, like I don't think I would be. Yeah, I don't think that would be hard for me to do.
But something about what you just said, you're like, this is the line in the sand that I'm drawing. I've tried my best. I admit I have blind spots. Some of this stuff is a disconnect for me. I think you got to really work on that, right? So I would like, I'm thinking about.
Oh, no, he doesn't. This is so bad advice. And well, I will say it's actually consistent bad advice from WK, where like he tells people to work on things that are just genetic, and it's just really frustrating to hear.
How what that practically looks like, but I really think that something about the way that you construct your sentences, which is objective on one hand, but I think it's also, I think it can be both. I think it's objective, and I think there's a little bit too much dismissal. It feels that way when.
Well, yeah, he. The reason why it comes off as dismissive is very obvious because you can't really engage with something that you don't perceive. So if he doesn't see it, yeah, it's gonna seem dismissive to us. Yeah, and here's the thing, he's super smart. We all know he's super smart. So we're gonna think there's no way he didn't see it, right? That's what we're gonna think. You must be dismissing it. It must be intentional. I made the same mistake with my own fiance before I realized she was autistic. That actually helped our relationship a lot because that's what helped me understand that it's actually me who needs to change. There's nothing wrong with her. That's what Dad told me. The diagnosis wasn't for her. It was actually for me in our relationship. It's for everybody else. Right? We're the ones that have to adapt. Right? We have to understand that there's a limitation with this person, and that's our responsibility to meet them where they're at. Because they can't do it. That's the point.
I listen to you.
So that's why it's hard to live with us.
When I'm talking about this kind of stuff, what I'm trying to get across is this seems like the most realistic scenario. This is what I saw from my side. It's not me trying to cast blame away from myself. It's going, no, we all fucked up. That's the reality of the situation. We all fucked up. And I think what people want is they want me to go, no, it's my bad. But my bad is a lie.
So sure.
I don't want to do that because it feels like I'm being.
You're not expressing yourself, right? Yeah.
Asked to give.
And authenticity, right? Authenticity is value. Expression's value.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
For the sake of giving bullshit, so that other people can be like, oh, I love this bullshit. We're cool now because we both realize that we both bullshitted each other in a situation. It's not real. None of that is real. It's hand wavy.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Now I'm going to ask you a question that please don't clip this out of context. Or if someone clips this out of context,
sorry, done.
Please add someone post underneath with a reply this portion. Okay.
I think they literally are about to clip this out of context.
You do your best to look at it objectively, and you conclude this is bullshit. And I'm not saying you're wrong. Okay. So I want
look at it objectively based on my subjective experience.
Yes. So let's assume for a moment. Let's assume for a moment that you are a narcissist.
Okay.
Can you please stop? Can you get out of here with this weak ass shit, bro? Really? Are you sawing about that?
That's gonna get clipped.
I know. I know. But it's like I think this is really where the money is, and this is not just about you. This is about.
But okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's actually do that then. Let's roll that out. Because I think there's a lot of stuff he says and does and has built and can show that rules that out.
But everybody, myself included, I run this exercise with myself all the time. If a narcissist goes through the process that you go through, they will end up in the same place that you end up.
Ooh. If they go through the same process you go through, you'll end up in the same place you end up. Too vague. That's too vague. I don't understand what that means. Genuinely, I don't understand what that means. I just need that.
Which is likely why people make the accusation.
100. I didn't know they did.
Why are you even assuming that's true before? Do you understand what he's saying? I didn't understand that.
Did that, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So like that's the problem that you're dealing with. And it's
See,
not.
I don't know that.
Huh?
That's the thing. For me, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I know.
Right. So think about that. Right. Like that's the problem. And this is the problem. Like I don't know if this makes like that's the problem.
Yeah, but the narcissist doesn't have like the same community he does. Like the narcissist doesn't. The narcissist doesn't show up to this, dude. Hassan Piker ain't coming out here. Like, you know what I'm saying? See, you're only talking about the process. We're only talking about like the internal process in his mind, which you don't see yourself. So, like, you look at the actions though, because the narcissist doesn't do the actions that he does. Like there's certain things that he doesn't do that he should be, and there's certain things he does do that he shouldn't be. That's the problem.
Is that
with that theory?
If I listen to you, are you someone who is objective, who has done like all the like, is your representation thorough and objective, or is this the construction of a narcissistic mind that's just defending itself and things like that?
The problem that leads into is that goes down to,
oh yeah, so like for example, you know what I never hear? I never hear how bad his community is. No one ever talks about how bad Pirate Software's community is or how bad its viewers are. See, sometimes like you have to look at like what is not being said, what doesn't get brought up. Every narcissist has terrible viewers. They have a reputation for having terrible viewers. Like, yeah, like Hassan, right? This guy does not have that. His viewers have been absolute angels through all of this. And that's real strange if you think he's a narcissist.
are you willing to have a conversation with me? Or do you just want to believe the narrative that you already want to believe?
Agree 100%. That and that's why you're fucked, bro. Because the internet is not interested in having like 90% of the internet is not.
Just depends. I mean,
interested in having conversations, and you will see this all the time on take any
fucking that. Don't fucking make that our problem, okay? Though, like, that's their problem. They want to go be dumb as hell. Just let them do that. Like, say, yeah, y'all trash. You want to be trash? Go be trash. Who cares? But don't like. Let's not like just put that on us, okay?
Political subreddit or any political streamer, and you'll see that people are not interested in having conversations. And I do think there's a lot of weird stuff going on with you too, but like
mock them and make fun of them. Yes. If you're not serious out here, get out. Nobody asking for you to be around here if you're not serious.
Like parasocial and stuff like that.
The thing though, legitimately, dude, is we built up a community of specifically people that have conversations about things. That's why, after all of this, we're still sitting at like 6,000 to 10,000 people.
Which is true. And man, it's Discord again. Angels. Yeah.
On a daily basis. That doesn't happen in a situation that is like I meticulously made sure that we had a community where we could talk about stuff.
Oh, damn. How in the world are you hearing this? It's so on about this shit though.
On a logical basis and try to work things out outside of that. And I've
been pushing that on this channel changing his mind.
And I don't think I'd have a community if I built one that was based on instant emotional reaction.
Because you're not even gonna ask questions? Well, he did. Look at that blood movement.
They just be like, "Oh, he's a piece of shit." You know,
yeah. So there are absolutely communities like that. You know, and I think it's great that you don't, and maybe that's why people are coming from other communities to you, because it was a group WoW thing. So there's like a lot of other communities that are interacting with yours.
Whoa. Did you just like downplay the numbers he just put up for his community? Like, you don't think that's actually his community?
The thing that I would encourage you to do, and this is for everyone, I do this on a daily basis.
I'm just
assume for a moment that you're a narcissist.
Why do you keep doing this? Can you just go with, can you not come up with any other theories? I could come up with other theories that don't involve narcissism and fucking autism. Okay, I can come up with other theories, man. Like, you know.
And think about, if I'm narcissistic, what would I be missing? Right? Like, even, so I'm trying to think of an example. So I recently had an interpersonal conflict where I felt hurt by someone I'm close to. Okay? And as I was thinking through all the things that this person has done wrong to me, I stopped for a second and I was like, am I just being a little bitch? Am I like, is this genuine? Is this fair? Like, what are all of the counter examples? I
know you did not just use that word. I know you did not just use that word.
Am I just glossing over all of the stuff that they do right? Am I ignoring all of the stuff that I do wrong? Am I ignoring when this person lets me down? What is my contribution to this system in which I am disappointed? So
okay.
these are
that seems normal to me though.
Okay, good. Yeah. But I think a lot of times when we feel hurt, we're not. We don't do that, right?
Well, maybe he does though. You don't know that.
Okay, cool. I think that's great. I mean, if you're already doing that, that's awesome. Then I think the main.
Well, dude. Counter examples, yeah. You're getting counter examples right now.
Main thing then that I would encourage you to really think about is like this disconnect, and what's the variable in there. And what I would strongly encourage that you do is that variable is going to be divided into two portions. One is that the amplification, the disconnect, the question mark of the situation. You understand what I'm saying? Or not really?
Yeah. I mean, like I'm kind of understanding, but I think it's hard for me to understand how I'm supposed to respond to that if the
Bro, you're just saying built for this. You're a great dude, and it's just not your job. It's our job, and we're failing, and we're failing you.
the requirement for the response is
That's,
you need to
that's
make it incomplete and dumb it down and hand wave it. That makes me feel like I'm just lying to people.
No, no,
I
no.
know.
I
I know.
your
I know it hurts you. That's why we shouldn't ask you to do that.
response to when I said, "What do you think about that?" Your response to that kind of won me over. I don't think you should do that. So,
Okay.
so now what we're talking about is for anyone who is in a situation where I behave in a certain way, the world responds to me in this way, and there's a gap between these two things. This is the scenario that I'm talking about. So in that scenario, what's the question mark? What's the amplifier? So there are certain things that we can attribute to things outside of you. So people have parasocial relationships, people are projecting, people don't like me, whatever. Like people are upset, whatever. There's all the stuff that they do. And then there's all the stuff that you do. And this is where I think it's hard, but I think a really good example of what came out of today, which hopefully feels okay to you, is when I'm direct, other people think I'm evasive. I think those are the kinds of nuggets that I have seen transform lives and literally save marriages.
Okay, great insight. I agree that is actually a good thing for him to think about and keep in mind. And oh yeah, autism, 100% that happens all the time.
It's just funny because like I've had
I mean, can I think of a single example genuinely where I'm like, he said something and I think it makes it less likely he has autism. He has not said that for 2.5 hours. And that is strange. That is very strange. People who are like not autistic, that it doesn't take that long to hear something and go, that would lead me to believe that you're not autistic. Usually it's people who are autistic will give you things that will make you think, well, maybe not actually. Genuinely, he hasn't done it.
effectively the same conversation with the moderation team. Was like I use the same terminology. Like that feels like idiocracy. I don't feel like dumbing down my language and just being dishonest about it to hand wave it makes sense. And I feel greasy doing that. I don't know how else to describe that.
Are you?
Yeah. See, I think it's greasy, sleazy behavior too. And it's sad that that is what is being rewarded. Right? I really do identify that a lot. This is a trait that I love in autistic people, and it's not like something that just amuses me or something. It's something that I admire. Honestly.
You
Like,
hearing
if I
me
were-
talk about dumbing things down at this point?
When I say dumbing things down, I mean like the idea of like, oh my bad, bro, and just kind of leave it like that. That doesn't make sense.
What are you hearing me say to you right now?
Of a way to resolve the language of, you know, I feel like I'm being objective, they feel like I'm being evasive. And to me, it comes across as I'm over explaining. I'm giving too much context. I'm making the scenario
Okay.
of myself as a player within that rather than this is what
Right, which is the mistake has been made by the time you're like writing up the response. The mistake was already made, right? Is that you're just not aware of what other people are feeling and thinking when you're writing it. That's the mistake.
I didn't know, and that's it. And then we walk away.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that.
So the way you make the response is irrelevant.
So I understand where our disconnect is.
Okay.
I have removed dumbing down from the equation of my solution space when I talk to you. Take it off the table. Done. Doesn't feel right. I agree. What I'm saying is that if we look at I'm being direct, they feel like I'm being evasive. The tactical options to solve that involve way more than dumbing things down.
That's true.
Okay.
So that's what I think. Yeah, I would focus on that. So like, don't dumb things down. Be authentic. But there's also a way, because like, right, so fundamentally this is an issue of communication. It's an issue of understanding. It's an issue of getting your point across, arguably listening to other people's. And so that is a skill. It is an art form. There's a way to do it well and do it poorly. Now, what a lot of people do, which I think is bad, which I really appreciate you standing up against, is dumbing things down, virtue signaling, pro forma apology.
I hate that.
I do wonder if, like, being an addiction specialist, I actually wonder if that has actually led to kind of a bias in his practice where he just doesn't really have many patients with autism. Because I have been thinking, like, in the back of my mind, like, how he's not catching it.
Like I
hate
really
it
do.
too.
I don't.
But it's like I'm marrying someone with autism, so maybe it makes sense that I actually would have more understanding of what it looks like than a literal Harvard psychiatrist. Because of that.
I hate the idea of here's my ukulele sad YouTuber video.
Yep,
You just lie to the camera for 5 minutes because that's fucking dumb.
I hate it too. So my point is that if we look at like, you know, like,
And I feel like that's what I was being asked to do. And I'm like, no, here's how I see it. And they're good. You know?
Yeah. And my point is that somewhere between the pro forma apology and what comes out of your mouth, there's going to be something in the middle there, which is an adaptation of what
No, by the time you are even coming up with the apology again, though, it's already messed up.
you do, which feels authentic, feels truthful, feels complete, and
It's like even before that.
there's literally something about the way that you talk where if I code your
No. Yeah, I see. He's talking about the way you talk. It's the way you see.
responses, that's the best way I know how to put it. It's kind of like there's a
And
theme
it's not wrong, by the way.
of what feels like a lack of accountability from a listener's perspective.
Ugh.
I don't think you're not taking accountability objectively. But what I'm saying is that the limbic circuits of my brain, the emotional circuits of my brain, when I hear you talk, it feels like you're leaving something out. It feels somehow incomplete or unbalanced.
AKA, I just don't like talking to autistic people, and I don't like autistic traits.
And I know that's a very difficult problem for you to solve.
He ain't supposed to fucking solve it. That's why. Yeah, I wonder why.
Like that doesn't give me a lot of tools, right?
It's hard. So that's where like I'm going to think a little bit about how to bridge that gap, but like something in that is where the money is. I feel really confident about that. It's not a pro forma apology, but it is also
Well, kind of wrong because it's before.
thinking about the way that you make statements that
But I will say he does seem to be backing off from the narcissism thing. He does seem to be like, yeah, honestly, it's not really that, maybe. But I'm not sure what it is. Like, Dr. K does seem actually pretty convinced here that he doesn't have all the information, that there is clearly something off from like a neurotypical person, which, I mean, he is right.
rubs people the wrong way. And then the other interesting thing that I really have to like encourage you to think about is it hard for you to see a different way to use your words? Because in your mind, you're only able to see things one way.
The way that
That's such a good question. That's such a good question.
put that up, the way that I put out messaging, like that, especially public messaging, the internet will find any chink in the armor to try to unravel it into saying.
Oh no, you're not answering the
Yep.
question.
So
You
what
have to answer that last part of that
I
question.
try to do is I go, okay, so instead of putting the ego first on this and being like, I did the best thing or I did the worst thing or being an emotional platitudes for this kind of shit or virtue signal for it, I just go, here's everything that happened from my perspective, and that's my story.
Okay, you ready for the mindfuck?
Sure.
You said that what you put out, people will try to find the chink in the armor, right?
They're going to do it anyway, but yeah.
No, they're not going to do it anyway. The way that you put things out makes them want to find the chink in your armor.
It doesn't make sense.
I know.
You're an easy target.
That sounds, to me,
They know you're an easy target. They know there will be a chink.
sounds obsessive. It's I need, like there's a necessity to find a problem when there isn't one.
No, I think you're missing the point. The way that you communicate information, the way that you speak makes people want to find the chink in the armor because people
Yes. People know you have a weak spot and they know where to look.
communicate. Yeah. I know it's hard, man. It's wild. It's crazy. I'm
Yep.
with you. Right? So there's something
That's why people don't even look in my general direction. Right? They don't just ignore me. They don't look at where I am standing. They don't look at that space around me. Right? They don't want to give me a facial expression. They don't want to give me anything. There's no chink. Right? They're scared.
that you're doing that from a logical perspective makes perfect sense. The emotional energy of your words, and I'm not right about this, okay? I could be wrong. But I really suspect that this is where the money is, where something about the way that you present yourself, which by the way, went away when you got pissed off about when I was like, what do you think about just doing a mea culpa? And you're like, fuck that. I was in your corner. But here's the thing, the way that
So
you talk,
you need more of an emotional interaction.
because why do I want to poke you in the armor? Because of your logic? No, because of your emotions.
Well, yeah, so you want to give him more emotions? No. Or that.
That reflex, this is what you got to understand, Thor. That reflex comes from the emotional energy that you're sending and the emotional energy that they're receiving. Now, this gets more complicated because you are right
That's why autistic people feel like they don't fit anywhere and they just gotta hide their emotions.
that this is an unsolvable problem because there's only so
For him, yes.
much that you can do in this situation. That at
There's
the end of the
nothing
day,
you
there are
can
going
do.
to be people on the internet
It's
that are
genetic.
just there to meme, that are just there to make your life worse, that have little
Genetic.
lives where they feel frustrated and then they look at a punching bag and they say, hey,
Punching bag, yeah. And that's some weak ass shit. That's why I'm so motivated to make this video. you think autistic man is a good punching bag for you, huh? Oh, very interesting.
I'm going to punch this person. I'm going to knock this person down a peg. And the tragedy there is that they don't truly have little lives. They truly have far greater lives than they have the potential of far greater lives if they stop spending all of their cognitive and emotional energy trying to knock some random fucking guy on the internet down a peg.
Ain't random. It's not random. And that's why they're so sorry. Because they see an easy target. They know they're bitch made. They know they're weak. That's why they do it. That's pathetic. Because what you're saying is, I'm a little bitch and I have to pick on an autistic guy. Otherwise, I'm gonna get my ass handed to me. That's how they be moving. That's so weak. Don't just sit down and shut up.
Then they would really be happy.
Basis of all the things I try to do on the internet. That's why I do all. That's
yeah. It's tough, man.
That aspiration that you put there. That's why I do the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I generally run game jams and all that.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
It's because this shit is a waste of fucking time.
Yep.
It is the same reason that I have a short out that's like, stop looking at shorts, go the fuck outside. And I know that sounds like self-inflationary of like aggrandizing for that shit, but like, dude, the internet's a fucking mistake.
No, so here now we get to it. You said
it doesn't come off that way. You're wrong about it. Right? This is an example of you doing the opposite, right? You're like, oh, I know this could come off really negatively, and it doesn't.
But I know it sounds that way. It doesn't sound that way. If I read your words, huh?
How do you not realize he's autistic as hell, Dr. K? How do you not see it?
When I say it that way, it sounds that way to me.
But it doesn't sound that way to me.
That's ridiculous to me.
Yes, I know it's ridiculous.
I know, because you're autistic as hell.
So here's the point. The words, if I were to write
not a little bit, you're very autistic.
Down, and we said, hey, is this person arrogant? Maybe would be the answer that you get. The emotional energy that you add to that doesn't make it come across as arrogant at all. It makes it come across, for me, I get inspired by that. I believe that. That sounds believable to me. So there's some
perception. The perception disconnect is when I talk about a situation while removing the emotion from it. When to me that sounds like the most logical way to communicate. And
it's so sad. This whole situation
not the most objective
so
way to communicate, which seems like it would be the best way for people to understand the scenario fully. And that's the most disconnected for other people because it makes them feel like I'm being evasive.
I think that is one step in the right direction for you. And that's because human beings are not logical communicators. We are
I'm well aware of that.
We're emotional communicators. Right? So I think the energy that you add to the equation like matters a lot. And what you're trying to remove, and it sort of makes sense, right? Because you have a strategy. You've got a particular strategic approach, and that's what got you to where you are. And I know you've tried a lot, but I think this fundamental thing, I don't think this has changed over the whole course of this.
I cannot wait for people to be pulling up in this shit, talking about some bullshit like, are you a doctor? Blah, blah. But he's a doctor, though. Harvard, blah. That just makes the feat more impressive on my end, okay? Or it makes him that much more sorry. Pick one or pick both, all right? But I'm telling you, get this man evaluated, I'm going to be right. It's just because he's notched a little bit. This isn't an unclear case. This is a case so obvious that the layman can actually see it pretty clearly. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you have certain conditions where, it looks ambiguous when people have it. And then, you need a doctor to diagnose and do studies, tests, right? And then there's like cases where everybody knows what they have, right? It's just very obvious that they have the most textbook case of whatever illness they have ever. And this is like so clearly textbook autism.
And I think the really hard thing is I don't know that it needs to change, because I think part of what makes you who you are, part of what makes you valuable, part of what attracts the community, because there are a lot of people out there who think like you, who are tired of emotional communication, who have people in their lives where you're like, look, this is the reality of the situation.
There's a lot of people who are autistic. And yeah, you know what? From being in his community somewhat, I can say, yeah, there's a lot of people that are autistic in there. Yeah.
I cook dinner 4 nights a week.
And I like them.
Cook dinner 1 night a week, and you order takeout the other 2 nights of the week. That is the objective scenario. This needs to change. And they're like, nah. So I think that the way you communicate is like an oasis in a desert for.
And I said before, I'll say it again. I like the way autistic people communicate. I actually think there's something to be said for being a good communicator, to be able to be understood by many different people. And I like to be blunt and clear. I want autistic people to understand me. Um, I like the way autistic people communicate. I don't communicate that way because I can't really communicate either way. I do it by choice.
A lot of people. So it's not
In some ways, I'm not communicating that way. I understand that. I'm going a little bit extra there.
bad. It's just like this is like something that I think can be leveled up. And a big part of
the
that.
biggest thing is the more that I have to deal with this just slew of shit with this, the less I've been emotional about it because it's effort.
Well, so if we
Okay,
were to take that statement as true and we were to make a
that
predictive
I don't like
model,
Dr. K, I understand why you think that way. But you should wait and see how I'm talking about people who I don't like, okay?
what happened
That
to
is
you would be in line with this prediction.
way more.
That if our
than
hypothesis
this.
is that emotional communication is what
Way
connects with people,
more.
especially on the internet.
Yeah.
And as you become more burnt out, which by the way is absolutely going to happen, as your corpus callosum,
I got to like
you're
maybe
just
10%
fried, you're just
on
blackened.
Dr. K. I got like maybe like a 10%.
At this point, you've
You
got
should
no
see me at
emotional energy
like
left, and the more you communicate, the angrier people get. I really hope people leave you the fuck alone because I think it's like enough is enough. I'm happy to say that. Like, I don't usually advocate for people doing that. Maybe people think that I'm a narcissist or whatever. Like, that's fine. But I don't think this.
Why? Bro, I'm gonna be honest. People pull up and actually try to call me a narcissist. I'm gonna be like, guys, at least I have some evidence why I would think that. Look at my life. Look at my girl. Like, yeah. At least I got reasons. Bro, what you guys got? What are you doing?
This is about you. I think this is like when someone makes whatever kind of mistakes you made, and whether you were mean to people or not, whether you.
But honestly, yeah, I would hear that and I just wouldn't care. Like, that's why I'm starting to sound boring. Like, whatever, dude. Like, you know what I mean?
Went to the bathroom and looked
like I wouldn't have the energy to respond because I would just be too bored to respond.
Up, or you have a butt plug that is vibrating in Morse code to give you the solution. Like is connected to like I really don't care. I don't know about the reality. I think it's just like we all make mistakes. I'm not saying you did or you didn't. It's just like, come on, y'all.
Yes.
Right? Is this really what we're doing now? Like, is this how we're spending our days? How we're spending our time?
And I think Dr. K does his best, and I don't think and he makes mistakes, and it's okay. It doesn't matter if you're a psychiatrist. You make mistakes, right?
Are you perfect? No. Are you a regular human being? Yes.
He's not perfect. I'm not perfect either.
So that's kind of where I am. I know it's confusing for you.
No, I mean that starts to make sense. I think the thing that bothers me is if someone were to go to me, right, and talk in the way that I'm talking in that objective fashion, I go, oh, cool, here's all the information. I'm going to compile it with that information and then come up with my own way of how I feel about this. And what I'm seeing more and more now, especially on the internet, right, is loud, bombastic, emotional response is what everyone wants for stuff. But we've never had it that way. I've never interacted that way. I've been not that way this entire time. And now for me, suddenly that's a problem. Suddenly that's a bad guy thing, which is like, that's really fucking weird for me, man.
I don't know what it is, but I will say he's onto something. Where even though we have like Autism Awareness Day and we have autism acceptance and all that, right? I do feel like the world is becoming a place that is less and less accepting of people who are different. It's like there's an aspect of the internet that is actually making people more rigid with how you're supposed to be. And it's like more rigidly reinforcing neurotypicality. And I don't really quite understand that, if I'm going to be honest. I don't really know what's going on there. But I definitely see that that's happening.
Like, that's not what I expected. That's not the response that I expect. It doesn't really make a huge amount of logical or emotional sense to me. So I'm just like, okay, so you don't think I'm doing this thing. Here's more information. That's not enough. Here's more information. That's not enough. Here's more information. Then eventually it's like, fuck you. I don't care.
Yeah,
it's
so
like there's no other solution at that point.
There's two things. Like I had one kind of emotional response, which is like, you're like, that makes sense to me. The really interesting thing is your response of that makes sense to me. I'm not saying, don't read too much into it. I was just laughing because what I sent you in that moment was not logical. What I sent you in that moment was emotional.
Yes.
Right.
I have the capacity to understand emotions.
Yeah. But it's interesting because there's so many times where I've tried to send you logical signals and then there's a disconnect. Yeah. But you can easily argue that it's apples and oranges. The second thing that I want to say, and I know you're.
Well, yeah, but you've made some actual like mistakes and misinterpretations here, and like there have been follow-ups you've dropped. For example, the when you were, what was it specifically? I really don't want to go back. It was somewhere like I think in 108 or something when he's like, "Ah, yes, they remember when you said this though." Um, like that was an objective, right? And then Jason makes a mistake, and he's like he brought up something he said that was like pretty clearly like this is just the right way of things, right? And then he brought up as an example of him being subjective, and then you thought you had him, and it was like a whole thing. But it was just not a good example, and really, there should have been a different. They should have just jumped to a different topic, or a different, not a different topic, but like a different example, because that one just wasn't very good.
Emotional capacity, like I get that. You love your ferrets; they show up there. So the other thing that I think is interesting to note is that I think that you are on the receiving end of not just you, but basically this happens. So there's a group of parasocial nomad haters on the internet. That's what I call them.
Yeah.
Cloud chasers.
Huh?
Yeah. Chat hoppers is what they're generally called on Twitter.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. But like, so what I
jump from one community to another when
Oh, the viewers though.
there's like a big drama.
Exactly. So these are the people that follow the drama. So whoever, and then the problem is if you've created a community that values a certain kind of communication, and the chat hoppers show up, everything that you've built will get dominated or swept away.
That's why we ban it all. Yep.
Okay.
Knowing that full well. And there's a couple of ways to handle that, right? That I feel is when someone comes in and they just make like the copy paste hate statement, it's very clear that they don't care. We ban them. And then they put an unban request, and sometimes they'll be like, "Hey, I didn't realize it was that big of a deal." And then they come back in and they're like, "Hey, I like watching the stream," or they tell the mods to kill themselves, right? And like, obviously, if they're gonna tell the mods to kill themselves, they just stay banned, and that happens all the time. But if they're like, "Hey, this I didn't realize this mattered so much," sometimes they end up joining the community, and it's fine. It's just that first interaction, we don't want that like a million times in the chat. Like that shit sucks, and it's not 50-50, but the mods do get a lot of hate, man, like a massive amount. It sucks for them.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's hard to deal with. It's something that basically every streamer deals with, where the moment that you're at the top of LSF, you get like this influx of audience, which also, I don't think that's like LSF's fault. It's just,
I think it's the nature of like a gathering of people that are either.
Yeah, that particular subreddit is just like attracts people who are just very drama hungry.
Rooting for the downfall, rooting for an emotional big moment, or like want to be part of that. But I do still think that there's a large amount of people that are engaging in that because it's like their reality show. It's like their TMZ. It's like they're like, "Oh man, I'm part of that moment. Remember that moment when that thing happened? That was so funny." And like, I feel like there's probably even some of those people that will meet someone like at an event where they engage in one of those things, and they won't think it's real. They think it's just like a cartoon character,
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too, unfortunately. But anyway, we've been at it for like almost 3 hours, bro. How you feeling?
Yeah, fine. Like,
I'm tired.
I think so far this has been really productive because to me,
like,
dude, I don't know. Like that seems wild to me that people just want it. Like, I don't know. It seems wild to me that people just want an emotional response for that. Yeah, I think that's actually really interesting because that's like the internet, man. Scenarios like super vitriolic. It's comfortable to sterilize that. It's comfortable to have like more of a logical conversation about it because it's easier to process.
Yep.
It is less easy to like if I'm gonna have a big emotional response, I feel like I'm being manipulative to another person because I could do that. I could just sit down and be like, I'm gonna have a big emotional response now, but that.
Whoa! You said, are you saying you could be manipulative though? I think this is a good part to end on, and then I'll finish it up in a part 4. And I think I'm gonna have to shoot that one later because I'm kind of getting tired and my voice is going. This has been reacting to an honest conversation with Pirate Software. I'm Lance, signing off, and I hope to see anybody in the next one.